And now we start our trek through the haunted wood from the Heritage Center of Anne of Green Gables. So this was her cousin's house that we're leaving. And the haunted wood takes us to her Cavendish home, where she lived with, I think, her grandparents, if I remember correctly, but don't quote me on that. Over the river and through the woods. To grandmother's house we go. Through the haunted woods, where she breaks her ankle falling into a well that was covered up that no one could see. All to get away from Gilbert. Oh, I think it'd be more scary if it was at night. But it wasn't at night during the movie. It was during the day. It just felt like night. Now this part looks really like the movie. Oh, Diana. Look at these trees. Are they not just spooky? Come on. So spooky and scary. And yet she was always at peace among the trees. Pause and read if you want to read it. To see Anne walking through the woods. How lovely of them to add steps through our haunted woods. Sorry, I had to take a picture and accidentally unpause the recording. So you see Ethne for a second. Again, pause if you want to read. Again, pause if you want to read. It says the schoolhouse stood near here, but not sure where that would be. Again, pause if you want to read. This is at Montgomery Park. That is on the trail of the haunted wood to go to the Cavendish home. Go ahead and pause if you'd like to read this. So this is the fields of what she loved. Again, pause if you want to read.
I'm not reading Alice.
Huh?
I'm not even reading Alice.
You can read it later. Oh, that's different languages. We found L.M. Montgomery sitting in her park. The wildlife, but we found the silly cat roaming around. Hello, pretty. So go ahead and pause it again if you'd like to read. Oh, the fields are so beautiful. The church. Go ahead and pause if you want to read. And that was her church she walked to. Now we are on L.M. Montgomery's property, walking through her woods to her Cavendish home. As you can see, we are coming upon her home. This, I believe, yep, this is her home. Haunted woods. Oh my gosh, look how pretty this is. Are those our dogs we saw yesterday? Hi, buddy. We saw you yesterday. The bookstore and library.
It's for all of Cavendish at one time.
This little desk was the post office for all of Cavendish.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and so Maud did some writing there, and she actually sent out a lot of her manuscripts to be published from this desk.
Wow.
She sent out 5 kind of applications, and she was rejected each time. Nobody knew that she was sending out the applications because she was sending them herself from the post office, right?
That's crazy.
Which is kind of fortunate for her because gossip tends to spread like wildfire on people. So while she was living on this property and kind of growing up with these views that you see around you,
wow.
she wrote these 4 stories: Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea, Kilmeny of the Orchard, and The Story Girl.
Wow.
And of course, far and away the most popular, but the Story Girl was actually always Maud's personal favorite.
Really?
Yeah. In this area here, and then we had the barns, and then on the far left there, that's her home where it stood. You'll these photos herself. So it was kind of a quaint little farm homestead, as opposed to her cousin's place that Green Gables is based on, which was a little
right here too.
Yes. Yeah.
This is what it looked like.
Yeah.
Wow. There you go. So that was the original kitchen and post office.
Yes.
And there was a local historian, or just a historian writing about Maud?
Local historian, Father Bolger, I believe is his name. He was doing some writing about Maud. And
so he was using that building?
Yeah, so they basically put it on a truck, drove it down to him about 20 minutes away, and then put it back on the truck and drove it back up here. And
put it back?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Hopefully here to stay.
Yeah. So this was the kitchen section of the house that contained the original post office. It was here that LMM served as the assistant postmistress to her grandmother, and where Anne of Green Gables was born. The incidents and environment of my childhood had a marked influence on my literary gift. Were it not for those Cavendish years, I do not think Anne of Green Gables would have ever been written. The old house lay before me in silvery shadow. I turned aside for a moment to the old well and looked down it. Oh my gosh, there really is a well. That's crazy. Okay, we're gonna throw a coin down and see if you can hear it. Did it go in? Oh, yes it did. See the water flickering down there? There's actually water in the well. It's for reals. I am grateful that my childhood was spent in a spot where there were many trees. Where I have lived with a tree for many years, it seems to me like a beloved human companion. Oh, beloved old place, have not old homestead souls that cling to them until they crumble to dust. That was the house, and that's where it stood. I consider it a misfortune to love any place as I love this old homestead. The agony of parting from it is intolerable. I love this old home deeply, and I love Cavendish. This is the site of the old homestead. This is the old apple tree. Over 100 years old.
Touch it.
Don't touch it. The peace and quiet of this dear old place is very sweet to me. There is no place on earth I love, or ever will love as I do it. As I walked up it, I would see the kitchen light shining through the trees. I would pass under the birches and then around the curve. The old house would be before me. The old homestead lane the feet have trod, in farings forth and in returnings home. That's where the homestead stood. The apple trees crowded lovingly about the old house. It looks a bowery haunt of ancient peace. It is at such moments that I realize how deeply rooted and strong is my love for this old place. It is and ever must be hallowed ground to me. End view of old house and Lucy Maud's window where she sat to write. The window of my dear old room opens on a world of wonder and beauty. Winds drift by with clover scent in their breath, and the rustle of leaves come up from the poplars, and birds flit low in joyous vagrance. The trees that whispered nightly around the old house where I slept, the woodsy nooks I explored, the homestead fields, each individualized by some oddity of fence and shape. Pause to read. And then the rest of it, pause to read. I would read it out loud, but the mower is making it difficult. My garden, the delight it has been to me. I am positively reveling in flowers. dozens of the most lovely blossoms. It is the greatest pleasure my days bring to me to go out to my garden every morning and see what new blossoms have opened overnight.